For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
Welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. My name is Charles Loflin, and I have the privilege of serving as your ministerial intern and summer minister. I am delighted that you have chosen to be here today. If you are here during our Facebook Live or YouTube premiere, I invite you to say hello using the chat. Whether you are a first-time visitor or a long-time member, we are so glad that you've decided to join us in this continuing exploration of what it means to be a faith community in a virtual space. As always, you can find out more information about the fellowship, its programs, and its ministries by visiting our website at muuf.org. Again, welcome.
Good morning. Let me introduce myself. I am the Reverend Alan Wells, affiliated community minister of the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. It is my privilege to light this chalice this morning, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, for Jamie Boyce, who will be saying goodbye to us all in this morning's service. It is my pleasure to have served as chairperson of the teaching committee for Jamie Boyce during her 2-year internship at our fellowship in preparation for her becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister. May the symbolic light of this chalice remind us all of the light that Jamie has brought to our lives during her internship and subsequently as Director of Congregational Life at the Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. May it faithfully guide her as she leaves us and begins her next phase of ministry. May this light recollect for every one of us the divine light within us all. May it lift us up to the light that we share for one another and be lit in gratitude for the illumination that we have received from the long tradition of Unitarian Universalist teachers, preachers, prophets, and progressive social activists whose resourcefulness supports our mission today. May the symbolic light of this chalice especially serve as a signal of welcome to all who join with us this morning in a free spiritual search in our lives that is aligned with the needs of the world. Trusting in this life, we proclaim the power to transform ourselves and bring hope to all.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Hello, my name is Liz and I'm the Director of Religious Education Ministries. I have a story for you today, The Dandelion Seed, by Joseph Anthony and illustrated by Chris Arbo. It was the end of autumn and all the seeds had fallen off the plants. All except one little dandelion seed who was holding on for dear life. The stronger the wind blew, the tighter she held on. She could feel the wind blow through her until finally she let the wind carry her. As she became part of the wind, she blew out of the garden, leaving it behind. She began to see the world. The world was bigger than she had ever imagined. It was more frightening, more lonely, and more beautiful than she had imagined too. The more of the world that the seed saw, the smaller the seed felt. She began to question where she belonged. Finally, she came to rest just as the snow was falling. She sat silently as she watched a blanket of peace cover her. When spring came and warmed the earth and the air, the seed began to put out roots and leaves. Her leaves spread to catch the sun, and her roots went deep to drink the fresh rainwater. One day, she sprung into a bright, delicate dandelion, the dandelion she was always meant to be. She shared her leaves with deer and rabbits, and she shared her nectar with bees and butterflies. Then one day, overnight, the journey that started with one seed ripened into many. And the wind came by, and they became part of the wind, and they blew out into the world. All except one. That one dandelion seed held on tight. The stronger the wind blew, the tighter she held on. The dandelion whispered, Don't be afraid. The sun, the rain, and the wind will take care of you. You'll see. You'll see.
Blessing the Boats by Lucille, Clifton. May the tide that is entering even now the lip of our understanding carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever, and may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. Remember by Joy Harjo. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember you are all people and all people are you. Remember you are this universe and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was a rare at best, I barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in the sea of it. Used to be a world half-fed, having second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Questioning child's face, it's say it's not a testament, let it be very hard to say. See another new morning come, I say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
Good morning. It is so good to be with you, celebrating another day of community, care, and connection. My name is Jamie Boyce, and I have had the great privilege of serving this congregation for 4 years. I arrived here as an intern, and then 2 years later, I was invited to stay and serve in the role of Congregational Life Director. Sadly, I will soon be leaving for Illinois to pursue a hospital residency chaplaincy. While this new role is an exciting and unexpected turn of events, it will bring me closer to family and immerse me in the practices of pastoral care. It does arrive at a challenging time, and I am sad to go. It is a bittersweet ending. Never in a million years did it ever occur to me that I would be saying goodbye to you in this strange and distant way in the middle of a pandemic. In my mind, we are gathered together in the sanctuary, singing, clapping, breathing, and pausing in collective silence for a moment of reflection and prayer. Following the service, we would gather at coffee hour for excited chatter and bittersweet goodbyes. There would be hugs and handshakes. I would certainly shed some tears, tears of joy, gratitude, and sadness. Alas, here we are in the virtual world, finding our way, building a new way, and discovering that life goes on and opens towards new possibilities. As I prepare to move on to my next ministry, I want to take time to pause and reflect on my time at the fellowship and share my gratitude and appreciation, as well as my hopes for the fellowship as you continue to forge a new path to the future. When I arrived on your doorstep 4 years ago, I was in my second year of seminary, and Reverend Alison called me and invited me to complete my internship with you. I was excited and nervous, and you welcomed me into your community, quickly becoming my teachers and guides as I moved through the internship experiences of preaching, teaching, pastoral care, and so many committee meetings. You were kind and generous with your patience and feedback. I recall one Sunday I preached and I had a particularly fussy cold. I was worried about sneezing while giving my sermon, so I had tucked a Kleenex in the sleeve of my sweater. Unbeknownst to me, I managed to untuck that Kleenex while I was talking and proceeded to pass it between my right and my left hand, back and forth for the entirety of my sermon. After service, a kind and gentle congregant took me aside and said, "I will always remember that Kleenex." It was a humorous teaching moment. I had no idea that the little bundle of Kleenex would be the sermon I would preach that day. These are the lessons of an internship, learning to pay attention to the details with humility and humor, learning to see yourself through the eyes of those you serve, and making space for feedback from people who genuinely care. The sermon of the Kleenex reminds me that often the most important lessons arrive in the most unexpected ways if you're willing to take risks and be vulnerable to learning. You encouraged me to take risks and be more vulnerable, to trust you to teach me the lessons I needed to learn. You taught me that taking risks leveraged by love and responsibility, will allow our collective dreams to come true. I witnessed this when the congregation initiated the Deeper Roots, Wider Wings capital campaign with the vision of building a new building and transforming our grounds that would, in such a way that it would allow us to live more fully into our values of inclusivity, connection, and justice. I learned about the rich history of risk-taking that is alive at the core of the fellowship. Our beloved building, our mansion, was purchased in a moment of risk and hope. Taking that risk has allowed Unitarian Universalism to flourish and blossom in Morris County. The fellowship is a home and a hub of love, justice, and hope for a hurting world. Over the years, you continue to boldly choose a future that is an embodiment of the Unitarian Universalist message of collective transformation. So much so that you are willing and eager to take great risks. Risks that leverage love with responsibility. This fall, Reverend Alison Miller will celebrate 15 years as your senior minister. You took a risk and hired a young, vibrant, smart as heck minister who has led and served the fellowship fearlessly and with great love and care. I'm sad that I will miss the celebrations of this important milestone this fall. She has been a great mentor and teacher, and I know that I will hear Reverend Alison's advice whispering in my ear for the remainder of my ministry. Finally, you took a risk on me. You invited me into your community as a student. You were patient and supportive as I grew into ministry. And I plan on continuing this legacy as I move into the world to minister to those that are hurting and longing for the place that Unitarian Universalism offers, a place of the heart, a place of connection, a place of the future. I will draw from the well of inspiration you have generously shared with me and take risks that are a testimony of love and hope. When I finished my internship, you took a risk and invited me to stay. And over the last 2 years, I've worked at developing the fellowship's infrastructure and systems in the areas of membership, communications, volunteer support, Sunday morning experience, and technology. I'm so proud of what we have achieved together, for the work we have done and the heartfelt connections created along the way. It has been exhausting and exhilarating. And here we are, still moving through the discomfort and the transformation alive in our world, still unable to gather in our building, and yet finding creative and nourishing ways to stay connected. It has been painful. The fellowship has lost beloved members of our community, and we are in a holding pattern of grief. There are moments when our hearts are upended and tears are stifled and comfort is hard to find in the distance we are keeping. We are grieving a world we are losing. Even as we witness the explosion of justice movements and celebrate the ongoing process and practice of dismantling white supremacy and systems of oppression, we are also holding our sadness and our longing for comfort. Last week, we said goodbye to 2 of our national heroes and leaders of the civil rights movement. Representative John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, men we have looked to for guidance in the struggle to end oppression. We are saying goodbye to a generation of leaders we desperately need even now. Our grief, our sadness, our fears are adrift for the time being, and also finding new homes. Here at the fellowship, Reverend Alison has opened new spaces on Zoom for prayer, reflection, and heartfelt sharing, in addition to her regularly scheduled preaching. These extra services are opportunities to go deeper into our hearts, to name and be present to all the feelings of this complicated time. The music of Stearns Matthews, our Director of Music Ministries, has brought hope, comfort, solace, and joy to many of us and to the world beyond. The weekly stories from Liz Roper, our Director of Faith Formation, have brought us joy and learning on Sunday mornings. And the sermons of ministerial intern Charles Loflin continue to lift our hearts and inspire our minds. Making the collective pivot online required innovative collaborations. Collaboration is interdependence in action. We need each other to be fully human. We need each other to be fully alive, and we need each other to be fully responsible. I'm so grateful for the many, many partners in collaboration I've worked with over the years. And as I share my gratitude with you in person over the weeks to come, I hope that we can collectively pause in a moment of gratitude for all those who make our lives possible. Life lessons often repeat, and it is with greater clarity that I rediscover again that even in the midst of our sadness and grief, we can create new things, create new meaning, and discover the depths of our connections and commitments. I hope that you will continue to live fully into a collaborative spirit together. Take risks with new collaborations that center love, justice, and care into the covenants that keep us and redeem us. My hope for you is simple. I hope that you will keep courageously living into your creativity, keep imagining the community of care, inspiration, and justice that the world is so hungry for. Keep taking action to bring those dreams to life. You are poised to take great leaps into the future. This congregation is full of people with skill, knowledge, love, commitment, and devotion. The resources you need are right at your fingertips. And the well of spiritual nourishment is never empty. It is here for you whenever you need to rest, renew, reflect, or hold your own humanity tenderly. I end today with my heart overwhelmed with gratitude. And it is inspired by the poem that Tish Hamilton lifted up in our readings today. I invite us to hold this poem as a prayer, exactly as it is, and hold the future that awaits to overjoy the world here in our hearts. Blessing the Boats by Lucille, Clifton. May the tide that is entering even now, the lip of our understanding, carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love your back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. May you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. May all your wildest dreams come true. Thank you. Amen. And may it be so.
You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout, oh Lord. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. 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 You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
Thank you for 4 wonderful years of being able to serve you. It has been a great joy of my life, and the gratitude I feel today will be a well of inspiration in the future. I hope you too can continue to source gratitude in your life as a practice that does change the world, that nourishes our connections and surprises us with joy. May gratitude continue to guide you in the days ahead. Go in peace.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who